Good morning, fellow aviators. Welcome back to the cockpit of the 210. My name is Matt Farrell, and I'm the flying salesman. I appreciate you coming along with me this morning. For those of you that are new to the channel, I work for an awesome company out of Wichita, Kansas called Aero-Mach Labs. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to blast off of Shreveport downtown and just do a little bit of a refresher flight. It's been a couple of weeks since I've flown, and I want to get back in the airplane and just kind of get my feet wet, so to speak. So I'm going to go out and do some practice approaches, and I'm going to take you guys through my process of how I'm going to set this up and how we're going to fly these approaches in a pretty efficient manner, just to get me back into the flow and comfortable in the airplane. It's really important to stay proficient and not just current. And there is a big difference. Proficiency means that you are confident and comfortable in the airplane and are capable of performing the tasks that are going to arise during the flight. Not just a matter of, yes, I have the minimum requirements for flight with my 3 takeoffs and landings. So that's one of the things we're going to do today. We're going to brush up on our skills. I'm going to shoot a couple of approaches. I'm going to have a turn and a hold, and just a nice flight today, and just to get me back in the saddle. I think that's something that we all need to do from time to time, and I'm going to take you guys along with me. So like I mentioned, we're going to take off out of Shreveport downtown, and we're really fortunate here that we have a number of airports pretty close by, and we're going to take advantage of that. So the first approach that I want to do is the ILS into Shreveport Regional. It's been a while since I've shot an ILS, believe it or not. Seems like the airports I've been going to recently, the approaches I've been flying have all been RNAV approaches. So I want to take advantage of the ILS over there at Shreveport Regional and shoot the ILS. We're going to do all this under VFR conditions. It's a beautiful day to fly, and like I said, this is just an opportunity for me to get my muscle memory back where it needs to be and kind of get the knock the dust off, if you will. One of the first things I need to do is I need to come over to airports and look at the approach for the ILS runway 14. So there's the ILS localizer 14. And if you look, there's an initial approach fix at the Belcher VOR, Echo India Charlie. So I'm going to use that as my initial approach fix. I'm taking off on runway 5 this morning. The winds are favoring runway 5, so I'll be taking off kind of to the northeast, which will give me a nice left turnout and climb to the Belcher VOR. We're going to have to climb up to 3,100 because of those towers that we've talked about off to the northwest, and that is our minimum altitude for the course to Hermer intersection, which is the initial fix for the ILS. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this ONAV to the Belcher VOR initial approach fix, and then the left turn inbound at Hermer. After we complete that approach at Shreveport Regional, I'm going to go ahead and set this up for the RNAV GPS back to runway 5 with the turn and hold at Yor. If you watch my previous video with a turn and a hold where we talked about flight instructors and that sort of thing, that video I did a turn there as well. So we're going to repeat that, go back to airports, go to Shreveport downtown, procedure, approach, and that's going to be RNAV GPS 5. And you can see Shreveport Regional there in the center of the screen. It'll be a nice right turn out of there with a turn back to Yor to shoot that approach into Shreveport downtown. Anytime you're going to go missed off of an approach into one airport and transition to the approach to another airport, that is going to be a pretty critical time in the phase of flight. There's a lot of things going on. And one of the things that I'm going to encourage all of you to do when you're flying instruments is take a deep breath. Try to slow down what's happening in the cockpit. I know that my personal experience is I wanted to get in a hurry. I felt like that I needed to go around, switch frequencies, get ATIS, and have everything done in a matter of about 30 seconds. And it always astonished me how I could get behind the airplane because I was trying to do too much at one time. So one of the things that we're going to be concentrating on is what's next, and prepare what we can before we get to the airport, and also handle one task at a time on that go around to make sure that we don't get task saturated. I think that's one of the most important things, is unless we're going from Teterboro, New Jersey to Newark, New Jersey, in an incredibly busy airspace and a lot going on down here in Shreveport, Louisiana, we have more time than you would think to get this done. So take a deep breath, have it clear in your mind what we're going to do next, and do each step logically and methodically. Don't forget your checklist, don't forget your mental cues, and take care of each step along the way so that you can do this go around in the safest manner possible. So that's one of the things that we're going to concentrate on today. That's something that I have to work on as a pilot, is slowing down, understanding that I have a few seconds to get each thing done. I don't have to get it all done in that compact window that I feel like I do in my mind. Take a step back, simplify the operation, and do each step methodically. That's my advice to the student pilots that are trying to learn simple steps like a go around in VFR condition, or your instrument students that are working on these procedures. Take a moment, get a clear path of what needs to be done next, and work each problem in succession. Don't try to do it all at once. So after we go missed, we're going to go to your intersection and shoot the RNAV GPS to runway 5, and that's going to be a full stop for me. I feel like that it's going to be a short flight, probably about 45 minutes worth of flying, but I think that's going to get my muscles moving, my arms and my brain engaged in the airplane, and get me back in the saddle. The way I'm going to load this into my iPad is I'm going to go over to Maps, and I'm going to enter in Kilo Delta Tango November. That is an airport that I'm departing from, and this would be the same that I would enter in if I wanted to do this. If, let's say, the ceilings were 1,000 feet and I wanted to go up and practice these approaches, this is the same way that I would enter in the iPad and the way I would file it. So from downtown, if you remember, we're going to go to Echo India Charlie. That's the Belcher VOR. From there, we're going to go to the Hermer intersection. That's going to be my initial approach fix into Shreveport Regional. From there, I'm going to hit direct to Kilo Sierra Hotel Victor, Shreveport Regional, and that gives me my inbound course essentially. If you recall, the first intersection for my approach is your Yankee Oscar Oscar Romeo Romeo, and then we're going to wind up back at KDTN and hit go. And I spelled that wrong. Too many R's in there. We'll just replace that with Yankee Oscar Oscar Romeo Romeo. There we go. Replace. And that's how you replace something that you fat fingered and you have wrong. You just touch it, hit replace, enter, and it's there. We are going to do this VFR, so I'm going to pull up my VFR sectional. Go check out my last video, Boost Your IFR Flights with a VFR sectional. The great thing about using a VFR sectional is it gives you a little bit more information. And if you look, we're going to be flying in close proximity to these towers, and that's why we've got to be at 3,100 feet. Given the fact that we are under visual flight rules, we know that tower's out there. We can see when we're approaching it. We should be at 3,100 feet. But we can also have that visual cue out there. That's one of the things that I really like about with the VFR sectional even on IFR flights is obstacles and obstructions. Those are something that I want to know my proximity to, and having a current VFR sectional in the airplane not only required for flight, but it also gives you a wealth of information even when you're on an instrument flight. So you can see the flight path. We'll take off, make that left turn to the Belcher VOR, inbound for the ILS, go missed, right turn to your intersection. We will hold at your, and then proceed inbound on the RNAV GPS 5. So a nice little flight, like I said, gets me back in the rhythm of things, and also gets my mind in the mindset of a lot of things going on in the cockpit, and challenges me from a task saturation point of view. That's one of the traps that we fall into more often than not, is we do get overloaded in the cockpit. That's going to be the #1 thing that you're going to fight as an instrument student, is getting behind the airplane because you have a lot going on. And so this is going to help me with that. A procedure like this in VFR conditions is going to help me understand that flow. Something that I want to challenge my instrument students to do. Get a safety pilot. Have someone go with you, so there's 2 of you in the cockpit. You can exercise some crew resource management. Do it VFR, and do it without foggles. I know that in your instrument training, you are so often concentrating on doing with foggles or doing it in actual, and what I would encourage you to do is perform the flight, perform the tasks that you need to perform in an easier environment. If you think about the way we train, our training is as much about muscle memory and understanding the flow of what's going on in the cockpit. If you take a safety pilot with you, if you get them involved and help them to help you maintain heading, maintain altitude, you can concentrate and learn more in a lower stress environment about how to set up the airplane, how to manage your airspeeds, how to manage pitch control, throttle control, and all those elements of these different phases of flight in a lower stress environment, and you can simplify the procedure. Just a couple of those flights, you know, an hour and a half, 2 45-minute flights of doing this stuff VFR, and then turn right around and put your foggles on and go do it IFR, I promise you, you're going to see a big difference in the quality of your approaches and your ability to fly the airplane. So take advantage of that. Also, chair flying. If you haven't done any chair flying, it really is beneficial to help you with your the control inputs and the things you need to do, especially when the workload gets intense, like a go around and a transition to another approach. So, you know, what I would do is I would take a chair and I would face the wall or face a desk, have my hands up, and I would imagine where my controls were. If you want to put pens or pencils or something on the desk that emulate the controls, you don't need a flight simulator to do this. You can literally do this at your kitchen table and just have your hands up there and go through the process in your mind, step by step. Reach up and touch the radio. Okay, I've got to change to the frequency. Have your charts available, know what frequencies you're going to put in. But that's part of the challenge when you're doing this, or making those changes and those transitions from one step to the next. So I'm going to pull the airplane out, get everything fired up. We'll get our ATIS, and we're going to go do this flight. So I appreciate you coming along. We'll see you in just a second.